I had to bail out of, I think, 2 different business calculus classes because they only offered like an 8-week format that limited. And my academic advisor was like, also, I think that's horrible and I think it's stupid. So whenever we're finished here, I want you to go through and file this complaint.
Okay.
And I think they put them the next semester too.
Yeah. But to me, for you, when you're learning, so I prefer like more like exercise or picking. So I'm not that like harsh saying, okay, I have to
I appreciate that.
this.
Well, it's like the last homework assignment we did for web programming was doing that was where I actually got a better grasp of, okay, this is what I need to do to make this work as far as I need to run this command first. I need to make sure I install these things in these places and actually interacting with it and doing the assignments where it actually stuck.
Okay, yeah. So sometimes you need to spend some effort like to learning like how they things what the things work is more important. Like to me, like in the school, this process is like learning how to learn is important, you know.
Yeah.
But to me, myself, like when I go to the class, like when I look at the example, before the professor, they taught me like go to everything. I already tried everything.
Yeah.
So, and it's more like, I say in the class, it's right here, you come and then let you like, I just sit you right here, do something.
Yeah.
But to me, I have self-motivation. Actually, even I don't come, I do everything by myself.
Yeah.
So then you can pick up all the language.
Thankfully with coding and whatnot, there's something awesome like online resources like W3 School.
Okay, yeah, but yeah, so
you through exercises and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like there's an internship I want to apply for that mentions
Mhm.
they would prefer somebody who's experienced in R. I
okay,
had never
all right.
heard of R, and of course I pulled it up on W3 School, and it's like
Ah,
the syntax is like super.
why you
simple.
learn other classes teaching?
I'm using for a statistics class.
Okay, yeah,
It looks like from the limited event I saw, the syntax is just crazy simple.
yeah.
I think it's supposed to be a replacement for SaaS for enterprises that don't want to pay for it, because SaaS is expensive. R is open source.
Yeah,
It's more expensive memory wise to use. It uses your RAM.
Yeah.
but that one is using like that this language is designed for the data analysis.
Yeah.
So it's not same as programming language. So when they design, so you see a syntax, everything is not the same. Yeah.
And then making a graph with it is literally, I'm sure you have to include something, but it's plot
Yeah.
and then 2 parameters. And there it
Yeah.
is.
So the idea is like, no matter once you learn one language and getting master of it, then you are easy to pick up another language. Like
Yeah.
everything is online document. So you need to learn, okay, how can you look at the sample, use those, and then when you get the error comes out, then how can you look at those like error now?
And then if you're having trouble, it's like, okay, well, let's look at Stack Overflow. Let's test this.
It's a process, like you need to look at the error and then how can you fix it based on the error comes out. Yeah. If you know, like, okay, I got this error, like I always make the mistake or like I forgot to install the package, but when I look at it, okay, I missed this one.
Yeah.
So that means that I know everything works. But if you have no idea, you were sitting over there and no idea why it doesn't work.
The annoying thing is, oh, great, I fixed that error. And then you fix that one and 15 more pop up. You're like, no.
Then you know why this does work. Okay, so let's start our system design, analysis and design. Before we talk about some like graphic user case and the UI, okay, some idea. So today we will talk about the development approach. Okay, and also after we discuss about the development approach, and then also I'll give you some time, like also about the good project too. I will talk about that and give you some time from the group. So they discuss about it. So for the system design development, so we'll know like including the designing implementation, some informations. So you'll know all this basic information. But when we start really working on it for the development, we need to choose like certain approach to like it will affect our like success of the project, resource allocation, and some adaptability. Okay, so here's some definition. And what you need to know the approach, like you will hear a lot like waterfall, agile, like spiritual, DevOps. So they are pretty I think those are 4 common approach we are applying. And you need to know what's the special feature, like when we all those approach, and then what are the better like applying for certain project. Okay, maybe for some business, it's better doing it this way. For another project, we'll be doing another way. So we need to look at some like key features. I extract like certain things. I focus on these models, and then in today's lab, and then on the first day, just like for regular lecture, go through the PowerPoint. Okay, so right here, for waterfall model, just remember it's a linear. Okay, so it's just a sequential approach. So each phase must be complete before next begins. Okay, so this is a pretty common, and in the industry they use a lot for we're using waterfall. So in the beginning, we need to get the requirements. Okay, so gather the documents for the system they should do, and then we start to okay, if we finish this phase, then we move on to the design phase, and then we try to create the system architecture, design the specification, and what we need. So we will like all the diagrams you are doing in the design phase right here. So we will draw all those like ER diagram, case diagram, use diagram, maybe the full. So right here. So after you finish the like design or the diagram, then we will move. Okay, so we'll review. Okay, complete. We move to the next phase will be the implementation. So we based on the diagram, you decide, then we will implement it. So we really like this part will be writing and compile the code. For this course, like you mainly will stay on the like requirement and design, and that's it. Like even for a project, you just need to do that. Then you don't have to really implement any program. But I think for the next semester, you're keeping taking another one, then they may ask you to really implement your project style. Okay. And verification, so always we need to have a phase like to test it before we release it. Okay. If you are the vendor, you are the developer working maybe internally, you are to develop certain application for your own company. Okay. Also, you have to doing testing, or if you need to release it, like if you're the IT vendor, then you need to send the final source code to your customer or help them to launch it. They also you need to doing demonstration before that you have doing testing. Make sure all the functions meet the requirements. Okay. So also we need to make sure that maintenance, do we have to like updates, fix the system or the post development. So for this one, that we say the advantage why we're using the waterfall. So we have really clear structure and documents. So documentation, and we are easy to manage because we have a distinct phases. Okay. So because like we have to make sure so even when you look at all those examples, like our steps, it's pretty we are using waterfall. Okay, so face to face. But this one is inflexible to change once the phase is complete. Okay, so let's say once we finish the requirement, and then we move on to the design. Then we are working on design. Let's say if the customer say we want to change something else, we say no, we already move on next phase. We are working on this part. Okay, maybe you have to wait for the complete cycle. So let me finish the testing, and then after you finish testing, send me the new requirement. Let me do it again. Okay. And this one I have like for poor like for a project with uncertain requirements. It's true. And in the industry, most of the customer, like even to me, I face too. When I tell them we have no idea. Sometimes they just tell you, okay, I want to have an application, I want to have a website similar to certain website, or I want to do something like this. But for details, they have no idea. Okay, so when you go through try to recruit a requirement or based on your proficiency, you know, okay, maybe you need to create certain okay, at least for based on those website or those application, you should have certain requirements, right? Then after they really use it, or like in the demonstration, or they think about, I want to do something like this, I want to add certain function, then maybe you already move on to the implementation phase. Then you cannot change it. Then because you already working on it. Okay. So maybe one of the example project you can using the waterfall maybe called the banking system. So for the banking, they already know or in the system, so they have really clear requirements. And then one is the LG, the methodology. So it's more like interactive and the incremental approach. So it's called you did know the keywords right here. So it focuses on the collaborations and then customer feedbacks and adaptabilities. So right here, customer, they will collaborations like over all the negotiation. So when you talk and then you can always like update, change. So it's important is like we can respond to the change over a follow in a plan. Okay. And then Scrum, and then we can focus on this sprints and daily stand-ups for the team's communication, also as a Kanban. And then we have visual management of our work in progress with the continuous level approach. So we have some frameworks we can follow. So this methodology can be like based on the requirements. Or if you know you have certain project, you will change the requirements frequently or maybe not really fixed, then you can apply in this method. Okay. But for the details like how this work, and we can talking in the lecture, so we tell you. So also we have like continuous improvement through the regular feedback. Okay. So that means that we have more interaction, then we need to change it. So it can lead to the scope or like without the proper management. So it's really in danger, and then requires a culture of like collaboration and commitment. Okay. So here we talk about software development in tech startup. There's a really common as my first startup I'm doing. So that one I was doing is a recommendation system I'm doing, and then because you will have a lot that time, so I have lots of pitching, and then we have different vendor, and then they have some investor, and then they have some called the mentor. Okay, mentor to recommend you. Okay, and then sometimes you will try to negotiate with the potential customer user. So you will hear lots of feedback. Okay, so sometimes after you implement, or if you remember for the getting requirement or testing to get the user feedback. So when you decide the UI, right? So maybe I say we can use the Adobe InDesign to create, or like using the paper to create the app. So you can let the user to use it. Okay, so you ask their preferences. Okay, so then you can collect their requirements. Okay, they prefer the locations, or like how can you suggest the information? Okay, and every time when you meet the new stakeholder or like possible vendor or like investor, they will say, okay, they have different focus. Okay, they will prefer, okay, they want your app doing this way. Okay, if you listen to their requirements, then you will modify the function. Okay, fulfill their requirement. Okay. But next time or next week, you will meet another team or like another potential vendor. They ask you, okay, we want you to include certain function. It makes better of your app. You may, okay, that's a good idea. Then let's add it into it. Then you need to go back. Because for this one is you need to think, you need to get the requirement again and then doing the design. Okay, so all the design is like what the diagrams, everything, and then you need to do the implementation. Because maybe it will possible have a conflict is, okay, you are working on this function, and then suddenly maybe some investor, they're telling you, okay, I don't think this requirement or like this function is good enough, or maybe I don't think it's not appropriate, okay, for you. Okay, so if you want to fulfill their requirements, then you will stop your current implementation, and we'll go back to like getting requirement again, design again. So usually you only maybe already working on this process. Okay, and that's like this methodology is more like flexible. Okay, if you need to go back, you can go back. Then you will stop what you are doing right now in this moment. But if you want to like follow a waterfall, say, okay, we are not allowed to do that. We are not going back. Okay, unless until we complete the whole cycle, then we will get your requirement. But sometimes for that, I think this one is apply more on the tech startups, because for the tech startup, we don't have a standardized like culture things, the structure. So most of them, they are small teams. Okay, maybe small, maybe a group of like 5, maybe 10, or like if you have some employees, then maybe 20. So they still available. But for big organization, you need to follow. Maybe you have so many teams. Even for getting requirements, if you have like 2 teams, 3 teams, and then for design you have another teams. For implementation, they have another team. So if you including like different teams to working together, then you are really hard to say, okay, let's go back. Okay. So also it depends on the structure of your company. And then next one, the spiral model. So it will combine the interactive and sequential approach. So this one will be emphasized. So this one is called the risk assessment at each iteration. Okay. So here's a in the beginning of the planning, so we'll define the objective, alternatives, like any constraints. And for the risk analysis, so we will evaluate the risk and develop some mitigations and strategy. And then engineering, so we will develop the products to the iteration. And then we will move on to the evaluation, so to assess the product and get the user feedback. So you will see right here in the evaluation, we get the feedbacks from the user. This one will focus on the risk management. So we ensure that like all the potential issues are addressed earlier. And flexibility will be like refining and improve through the interaction. But what's the disadvantage? Like the cons will be like more complex to manage and then requires like careful documentation and not suitable for small project. Due to its like overhead. So if you work on a small project, then maybe it's not a good idea. So maybe we have a very large defense system or a project with a high uncertainty, and we will prefer with the risk management. But most of the time when the project, like especially for the tech or like you working, so if you stay on the tech, this industry, maybe most of the time you will barely see this model. Yeah. Or I think in the industry right now, they're hiring the tech computer, maybe some bank. So you see they will follow maybe waterfall or some tech company. But of course they can combine, but if they are maybe some like consultancy or something for the risk management project, then you need to. And DevOps. So they will including actually they including two actions. So it will be integrate the development and the operation ops. So there are 2 processes. They want to improve the collaboration and productivity. Okay. So what they mainly working on, they focus on automation of the process to facilitate the continuous integration. So including the we call the CI/CD. So you maybe see these terms a lot when they like hiring the software engineer or position. We need to familiar with the CI/CD. Okay. But in this day, you don't have to really know what the CI/CD doing. But you will see able to find a definition. But when you need to work in the big teams, then you will really experience. But right now you just need to know, okay, what's CI/CD? Just like continuous, like the terms we have like 2 continuous. That means we need to always like integrating things and then make it's working. So updating and then review, update, implement, keep checking. So have an idea is how it works. More likely, yes. Yeah, okay. And this one will have a faster time to like market. So if you need to maybe faster time to the market. So if you want to like deliver it first, and then like we got streamline process and increase the deployments frequency and reliability, and it can like improve the collaboration between teams and also enhance the customer certification through the quick features release. Okay. And they request a culture shift in the organization, also complexity in manage automated process. So this is the disadvantage. So this is most of the time the cloud service provider or modern application development. Okay. Pretty common. Have you tried to download some mobile apps? They are keep like updating or changing a lot. Have you ever seen? Have you tried experience like this? Like in the beginning, there's some apps like you download it, they have certain function, but when you keep using, they will lots of like frequent updates. And then they maybe even the function, the original function, they will maybe change. And then you see they're adding some other features. Okay. For those cloud service provider is one of it. We say the modern application is like I release the application to you first. Then you say when you ask the question LG project management what's the you talk about this one. For that one, we still we're getting the requirements and then try to implement and release it, but we will still have some process go through because we can go back. Okay, mainly it's like we can go back and then review our requirement. For this one, it's like when we try to complete when we finish or like certain function, it's like I make this application as a minimal, like maybe I have only one function and I release it. Okay. And then when I getting new requirements, getting something new, then I will update my original application and then update and then or release one more time. So the called the development and then implementation and then launch period is shorter. Just more likely like online or real-time update like this. Okay. Even sometimes but in some tech company we do, so we or sometimes if you see some like bug fixing or some certain function, you see they only have a page. Maybe something I'm not sure. Have you ever experienced like they only have a tag saying it's like it's coming soon? Like this feature is like releasing soon. Have you seen something like this? Okay, so it's more likely it's the DevOps. So it's like development. So I'm not so sure at this part. We may be going to have it, but I'm not yet decided we're going to. So, but I want to release it first. So you see, it's over there. It's occupied over there. We're going to have it. I'm letting you know we are going to have it, but maybe we are still working on this part. Maybe I finish maybe 50%. It works. Maybe it has certain function. I will let it like be perfect. Like let it deploy first. Okay. So maybe after you see next time update, you can maybe able to find the data. Okay, maybe have a list, but it not allow you to modify or add in something else. Okay, maybe later, maybe next stage, maybe 2 weeks later or half years later, they will have another release. Okay, you can do something else. So it's more like in this model, this methodology. Okay. And here we can think because like here's just some basic idea, and then also in our lecture we will talk about it. Just talk about taking our Uber, like discuss about this one. So right here, giving in the beginning, we can talk, okay, for Uber, so it's a money tech. So what kind of approach do you think would be better? Like in the beginning, I recommend is waterfall. So this one we are transitioning. Okay. So in this example, it's like Uber maybe is not really required you to say, okay, we have to stay on this approach. It's not changing because this one is not a system, but it's like depends on your organization. Also, maybe your culture, like, are you able to transit from one approach to another approach, or like it's more like how do you compromise? Like, first maybe let's do it this way. So after we get the requirement, then when we move on to next stage or next phase, we are not going back. Then maybe we just follow the waterfall. Okay. Then maybe you ask why in the beginning, maybe I say, tell me we are using waterfall instead of LG, or we are not using the DevOps.
Different stuff to actually work first before using to.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense. Or any other reasons, or like why you want to. But we need to think about the disadvantage, the cons, right? Okay. We cannot change the requirements. So then why in a, maybe we need to think about, because in the Uber, maybe in the beginning, is it a small company, big company, or do they? So we need to think about, or like say, for this one, if I using the waterfall, at least I can guarantee one thing is that, okay, we get the basic needs, or maybe I need to check, I have some like marketing, like do some market study. Okay, because the needs, or I maybe most of them only like taxi, and then maybe any like existing competitors. So I study all these things. Okay, so do I need to get the market first? Like, do I need to really release it, or at least I need to make this feature, everything works? Okay, so I release it. Okay, for the water first, I can go into everything, follow all the phase, and then make sure all the functions meet the requirements of the feature. But you need to one thing right here, this part, you need to think about the customer's certification, or like how do they feel, like their feedback. Okay, for the when we talk about CSCI, that means that you are keep releasing, right? So you need to think about, if you release this product or deploy this, like open this your application to public, then what you need to consider is that, are you going to lose your customer, or they don't mind certain function? So that's why you may be switch. So maybe for waterfall, apply like for Uber. So I need to guarantee all the functions in the like for the structural goal. So maybe I need to do it like make sure if I not fulfill all the requirements, maybe I cannot like get the market. Okay, so maybe no user. That's pretty common. So once you launch the app, like especially for Uber, if you feel okay, this is not convenient, or like it's not good enough, maybe you're not using it anymore. So even that means you cannot apply those approach to develop your apps, right? And then okay, maybe kind of like you already launched it, you get some customer. So maybe the for what happened to the Uber, so okay, we are getting more users, right? So they have increased it, then we cannot, because you need to have a faster update, or like sometimes we need to based on the user's need, then you need to adopt. So we need to change it and then change the features, right? Then you will change your approach. Here's an example, is that even to those existing company, they can switch. So there's a no actually okay, stay with one approach. Okay, if you are able to do that, then you feel free to switch it. Okay, or transition.
Like you don't have a product, you start there. Maybe it's like a bigger company, so they have the resources, but like, is that a thing you see often? Or is it pretty common?
I have no right here, I don't have a really say actually say, okay, you must do it like for this company this way, because even I say like for the LG approach, it can be for startup, right? Tech. For Uber, maybe in the beginning, so I may be based on the company's needs, or like I may be based on the user's feedback, then I can change it. So maybe really depends on your team, or the manager thinking, you want to stay on a more secure, or like, or you need to think about your like users like the tolerance to your apps. Okay, so do you think maybe at that time, at this moment, they're thinking, okay, if I cannot let my app to like recruit certain user, and I don't have a second chance. Okay, so you're thinking, do you have a second chance, or I try the user to use it? Okay, If no, actually I remember when Uber comes out or other like those app comes out, most of app at that time you only have only one chance. It's like once you launch the app, some user thinking, okay, they will try to download it and then use it. If they put a comment, it's not user friendly, it's not useful. You barely like after you deleted the app, sometimes like you barely really install it again, or you are not really keep those apps. Yeah. So if they consider in this part, then they are not applying in this way. Okay. Okay. Let's like implement. Maybe start with the function. You say, okay, I just have a call the pick up the order. No, pick up the right, and that's it. And then let's like based on the user's need, and then we can add more features. If for this, they say, okay, the user may be thinking, okay, that's not convenient enough, or it only for the right. I need something more, but you didn't offer this functional feature to me. And I just, okay, then I will go to or switch from you to another mobile app. So the things sense this way. Yeah. So I cannot say from what they did just in this way, but really there's no absolute solution answer. The standard answer say, okay, you should do it this way. But you need to doing some evaluation, or like in your team, you need to think about also when you design your project, or when you need to think, okay, if I asking which approach, or like so are you stay on one approach, or like which approach will start first? Okay, you need to give me some reason, or like talk about, okay, maybe if you say we will use the waterfall first, then do any supporting reasons, or why are you want to do this way, or like based on the application, say, okay, actually we think, sometimes you just like guess that users how can tolerate like for feature. Yeah. So if we saying you can have some feature, you not yet, but you only have the saying give you the title, say you can see they say we have some features coming soon. Is it okay? Or for some website they do they want to see the user, like how do they want to have this feature. They also try to put it over there. So they will depend on the user click on this button. This one is more like internal, but this another for testing, like to getting the users requirement. So they will try to like putting some just like empty buttons, like without any specific function, or like they have a button but it's redirect to contact us like this. But they will based on the click or the feedback. So okay, actually pretty a lot user prefer this one. Then you can start to implement. So here's the one of the belongs to the approach. Yeah. So then you can choose. And also interactive development. So they will emphasize on the developing the features, like maybe the right checking. So maybe in the beginning they don't have the search the price, and then the driver rating through the user feedback. Okay. In the beginning, maybe you don't really think about to have the user feedback. But later when the user the customer, the user, they want to, oh, maybe based on the driver rating, I want to see, okay, maybe from the driver side, I want to see the customer, the rider I'm going to pick, do they have a good rating? Then I will know, okay, maybe in danger, or like if something really bad happen, then I can reject this order, right? So this like extra features. So if you need to add this, like you will see when they try to shifting or like change transition from those different approach to another approach, is like, you know, once you have your system already launched, it's like right now it's working right now. That is more like thinking about the then you will think about CI/CD. That means like how can you continuously integrate something new feature, and then try to develop some new functions. Okay, so you see they are not really stay on one, except the banking. The banking, most of them they won't like change it. They want to make sure all the function you have to test, and then you see that like in the bank, they once they release it, they have to guarantee all the functions they needed. Like you can say, okay, let's wait for transfer your fee. This one like left a tab over there, but without any function. That's impossible. Yeah. Or you can say, okay, first time you have a requirements like chance, that then sending the money, but later that we quit the another function again to change the function. Because when you, for the bank, something is more like standardized and you have to follow the rules, regulation, everything like this, then you barely change it. And for those like some features, so let's say we have the driver and rider apps. So you need to have a continuous updates based on the users' feedback. So also you need to improve the UX. So if there's something they're changing. Also, they try to provide the real-time tracking. If you remember the functions when we talk about the requirements. So we have the interactive like enhancement to improve the accuracy and reliability. Always like for the system design, we need to give some reason what we want to do, and then maybe the payment integration. So we have LG Spirits like focus on integrating multiple payments method. Okay, maybe in the beginning you will support credit card. Maybe you allow maybe later Uber also give you the Uber's credit card, right? So they will give you a card, then maybe you can apply for it, then you can allow other payments. All this like when you can adding it later, then you can apply other methodology. And also for the user feedback, so you can have regular surveys or data analysis to inform the development priority and feature enhancement. Okay. But so when we apply all this methodology, then we need to think about the possible challenges faced by the Uber. So scaling infrastructure. So because at that time when they launched, we have already rapidly growth of the requirements as a robust and scalable system architecture. So how can you make sure? For this one, maybe once the Uber launch, you will see the user like rapidly go. Okay, then what should you do? Like if let's say you need to imagine it, once you just a small startup company and then you launch the app, and suddenly you realize that okay, your user like raise up from maybe in the beginning just 1,000 and goes up to 1 million user. Then what should you do? Taking action. Maybe you need to change your handle. What kind of things you need to handle? If your user, what the infrastructure layer, if your user just like suddenly increase rapidly. Maybe when you decide you're only able to handle only several thousand, and suddenly it goes up to 1 million, or maybe 1 billion, or like all over the world. Okay.
Ready to scale your service.
Okay. When we doing scaling for infrastructure, let's say the server side, okay, maybe application maybe okay, like just the same. So mainly will be the hardware server, right? So handling, so
You can buy much more hardware, or you've got to consult a service like AWS.
okay, AWS. And if I give you nowadays, because I know you some working on the website, some didn't. So you know the infrastructure. I talk about the Nginx, Brown Rubin. You know the CDN. So all these things you need to maybe in the beginning. So I just want to test. Maybe I don't know how many users in this moment. Okay, then you need to switch your plan. Maybe you can base on the change like the numbers of users, number like increase. Then you need to okay. I need to immediately create multiple servers in different location. And then I need to have like the CDN, create CDN, and then maybe the Nginx have to like determine based on location. So I need to reduce the load of the server. So I need to do the load balancing, all these things. Maybe the database. So when we talk about the database, right? So remember the database, we have two types of not the relational, but how to do an education. We have the terms like vertical and horizontal. Okay, so all these things we're going to apply because when we have like multiple servers like in different location, So we need to think about, okay, so are those like content, do we need to do vertical or horizontal? So all this we are going to apply. And then the regulations and legal challenge, like they need to navigating the local regulation complex issue in the worst market. So for Uber, there are some countries they are illegal to use Uber, right? Do you know? No, I didn't. No.
I'm sure there are.
Okay, yeah, okay. Well, Hong Kong is one of the places is not allowed to using Uber. Okay, so it's illegal. Okay. Okay. We don't talk about something because behind it's a business. Okay. So it affects lots of things. They do have competitor, you're competing with that taxi. So we are not talking about these kind of things like some
Lobbying by taxi corporations to try to keep out of the town. So basically hurts their business.
affect the business. So, but because we are talking about the system, but we are not talking the public things like the market, business, some financial things. But that means like you need to deal with because just need to know is like for different country, different places, they have their own maybe you violate their law, then you need to modify, and even Google, Apple. So if you know the market of like China have a huge market, but Facebook, Instagram, they are not allowed to use it in Hong Kong. No, Hong Kong is allowed to do that, but China they are not allowed. They're forbidden. Okay. So if you want to like get into a market, let's say Apple, the App Store, they are not allowed, but they are not going to share the data in behind. So this is something but out of the topic, but okay, then if you want to let your application like get into a certain market, then you need to modify. Okay. So if you're facing all this like regulation, legal challenge, then you need to change. You need to determine based on the location, then you need to cut off certain features, right? So after you finish all the requirement and then other people, first you said it like available globally, okay. But certain you will receive some, maybe the government requires you to remove certain feature or they ask you have to follow their regulation. Then you're thinking either I just leave this market, leave this country, or like if I want to fulfill their requirement, then you need to do. Then you just think, will your company or the organization still stay on the waterfall? No way, impossible. Let me recreate all the requirements again, go back to the user diagram and then move on to the implementation. No, it's impossible. Then you need to use another approach to change it. So that's why we have no standardized like answer solution to it, but like based on the situation you may be. But if you didn't prepare for or your organization didn't have a plan, but say, okay, we need to get ready for the next step, we need to have another approach. Then when you some like legal things, even you will have a government. I don't know, like maybe later you will have your own startup and then you have really popular application, you never know. And then there's some certain the certain country will send you the email to say, okay, you're not allowed to do something like this. Well, you have to follow our regulation. You need to share something to us, then what should you do? And you change it. And also the service reliability, then we need to maintain the app performance availability during the peak time. Also for this one, for the peak time, you need to think when you implement, you maybe not really think about that. So for the Uber, what's the peak time? Then you need to decide, okay, maybe within the whole day, when you implement, how can you consider the peak time for included in your implementation?
Examples of peak times or just trying to
The
making sure you have adequate bandwidth and server resources available for specified times.
for Uber, then how can we make sure like for the peak time,
Friday, Saturday nights,
holidays, okay. Maybe how about weekday? Maybe maybe morning from Save, yeah, on the work of work, so anything, so non-peak time, so if you need to handle with the peak time, then how would you modify your applications, infrastructure or system, or like, are you change any functions? Like based on your understanding, like right now, you know, the getting requirements, database design. So now we talk about maybe the whole system structure. So how would you handle this situation? Like if you think,
I guess we would need to. During the peak times, we need to make sure that we have servers that could be turned on.
server is on, like would be like overload. Because the peak time is like potentially because the request, like the request will be increased, like maybe not double, but 10 times more probably. Okay. So you need to think about resources. Okay. You always can set a really high maximum. Okay. You can set the application, maybe the server available, like handling the peak. But if your peak time only occupy only 20 to 30%, because for Uber, it should be available 24 hours, right? 24/7. Okay. So, but maybe most of, I say 60%, the needs is below. Then are you really need to make your service always available, like set to the maximum, or sometimes it will over your maximum. Then when it really happen, and like either over your maximum, or are you always like setting the, like just give the most of the resources? Okay, let me create more server, letting ready, waiting for it, or like I can using even for Dallas, let's say for Texas, let me set up 5 data center and then using round Ruby. So are you going to doing this to handle the peak, or what kind of strategy or what kind of things you can do? Or like maybe one is called the software, one is the hardware. So if I talk about software, what can you do? Or hardware, you can manage your resources. So we can make the balance.
Say, for example, you have the server network infrastructure
Mhm.
physically in your company's possession that is adequate to handle typical load that's not during peak times, and then you could utilize an additional service just specifically to handle, okay, requests have reached this limit. It's time to incorporate, again, something like AWS or something else. So the entire time you're not paying for and maintaining all of that hardware and all of that infrastructure, but you have an additional resource on hand, you can call into effect once you've reached a certain number of requests. And then once you don't have that many requests, it goes back down to just being supported with your existing infrastructure.
So you're saying, okay, maybe when I need it, I will just rent it or set it up, or let it just be ready. Or how?
Use a different service. You have to have it pre-existing because you would have to install your application.
Yeah, that means like, yeah, that means like you need to still, that means you're still paying for it, but you're not serving it. Then it's also is a waste, right? Okay, that means I pay for it every day, every second, but I say, oh, I only serve it or let it available when it's in peak out. Then why don't I just let it serve in a regular time? Okay, so it's like in the hardware layer, then we need to think about if I'm paying for it, or in software layer, then how can we handle this type? If let's say I cannot change the hardware in the software layer, like in the software level, how can you handle this one? Make your service more reliable.
Only do on software because your application is just gonna run
Yeah, running.
by itself, and then once it hits the peak for.
Yeah, so we have so many requests, but maybe okay. Yeah. So when you receive the request, maybe are we try to add some queue? Like waiting, taking
If
time?
you have customers who are waiting too long, let's go to a different service.
Yes, probably. Yeah, we do like we cannot avoid those issues. So when you thinking like software, so you think about like this. If I say, okay, physically, like we cannot really say, I cannot start a server, like I cannot like pay for a server, but I never use it. But if I really pay it, then I have two. Okay. And also suddenly if I have like the user more than that, okay, maybe I try to rent two server like just like AWS, but even the request more than that, the peak is like more than that, dramatically high. Okay. So maybe we need to handle like in software layer. Okay, in this level, then software maybe we can, when they trying to sending a request, reduce the, maybe we need to set them like loading, waiting time, and then set some mechanism. As a round robin, taking the least use like to sending the request or like let them to searching. Somebody don't know if you're using the you don't know is the peak or somehow. So maybe you can increase the price and then also increase the waiting time or give you the message. Okay, because when it's the peak hour, it may take longer time to looking for the available driver. So maybe you can just have a message and then have a loading icon. Still okay, right? So this one is like software layer. So you cannot fix it, but we can do it in the software layer. So you need to think about this situation. Maybe when you doing design a system, you never think about this. But when it sometimes pops out, then you need to like be available. So you are not go through the like maybe waterfall. Is that okay? Let me get the requirement first. Let me do the interview. Ask the, oh, hey, how do you think? Maybe it's impossible. Then you need to try to apply certain action first. Okay, doing something. And for the DevOps, that means we have like for the process and development and update really quickly. Then CI/CD. So we try to have like automation, like testing, deployment that reduce the time to market faster. When we mention about like for infrastructure is okay, then we can use the cloud infrastructure to manage the demand spike of data storage. When you suddenly realize if you're renting the AWS, you're paying for certain maybe 2 CPU, 1 terabyte storage, and you suddenly realize, okay, the user goes up, your data increase a lot, then maybe you need to increase your plan, like maybe goes up to 10 terabytes, maybe 8 core CPU. Then you can do this like auto update. And then data-driven decision making. So maybe based on, you can analyze like the drive like features, improve the user's experience. So all these like when they taking, so it will have a faster feature release. For this stage is that you already have an app already launched and to the public they're using for certain times. And then when you receive the feedback, then you can fast release the new features. Okay. Especially you maybe have other competitors. Okay. You can tell the change like Uber, they first for the ride and later they release called the Uber Eats. Right. And then did you also all the features Uber or like, you know, the like major functions you can, like not about the like the location sharing, but right now what kind of service they are providing for the ride and then food, and do you know something others features? Never. Have you? So do you know they right now they also can deliver the package. Yeah, yes. So you're not like taking a ride, but right now you can. So it's like kind of fighting with like compete with maybe, you know, say digital UPS, those, right? So but do those like you can sell, but right now you can, if you're using the Uber, you are the customer. If you want to send a parcel, we say the package. Okay. If you want to send the parcels, and then you can just set up the ride and then let the nearby customers no, the nearby drivers, right? So they can pick up your order. So they can come and take your what's the benefit? It's like you don't have to fill up all the informations and then waiting for them to come to pick up. It's faster. So that's why they can kind of like compete with those like tradition delivery, like package delivery company. Okay. So that's how they create. And then later they realize, okay, why don't you, like the driver is driving, then we can add the feature called Uber Eats. So you can let the driver to pick up the food and deliver to you, right? So all this, like you may not really using the transition. After they transit to another a methodology, then you can easily like gathering the features, and then you think, okay, it's possible to apply this market. Then you want to quickly release it, then you need to use another approach. And then for this one, we have enhanced the operational efficiency. So try to better resource allocation and reduce the downtime. And then we try to adapt to the like really to the market change. Okay, maybe the market or sometimes it changed, then we need to change it. So basically for the waterfall, like especially for the application like this, we're not, maybe when you in the initialize it, then we can use waterfall, but later that you no longer use it anymore. Because you cannot really fit to the market needs. Mainly one thing is we call the market needs. Okay, for bank, we don't have a market need. All the functions provided over there, maybe 20 years, 30 years. But nowadays, maybe they allow you using the mobile app, or they can add some special features that you can, like using an app, go to ATM without your physical card, right? Have you ever tried the function to withdraw the cash using your app? I think for some bank, they offer this way. So when you using your phone to activate nearby, I think they allowed you to go there and then withdraw the money without like putting your physical debit card. Yeah, I think they do. So you see all these functions they can provide. So, but for this, they have to evaluate, compete, and test it. They cannot say let's update it later. Okay. Maybe for bank, they are not doing it this way. And then for the later, maybe they you need to think about the innovation of like ride and sharing technology. So maybe they will have autonomous their vehicles. Why now? I think they why now, Tesla, yeah, I think it was 1 week, last week or 2 weeks ago. So they just like released the car. Have you watched the news of this one? So I think they're going to compete. So you will see the change. So they will, because they have an autonomous like self-driving car. So they want to compete with it. So they will get into this market. Okay. They not require, because I know in San Francisco, they do have some like testing. San Francisco, they have some self-driving car vehicles. So you can order, you can use the app, but they're for testing. So maybe a ride matching. And also they will talk about for the ride sharing. So the one is like, okay, if we are going to nearby destination, closer, can we like share the ride? And then if you need to release this feature, then how can you add that this one? So this like you need to consider. So for you design your system, then you, okay, how can you allow or certain features or function if you want to allow for modify or update, then how can you like prepare the approach? You need to and then maybe for the new market, so maybe the international market, so or new location audience. So if you want to maybe the Uber in the beginning, maybe we start in the States, and then if I want to let it available in Africa, okay. So in the thing, okay, is it possible? Or like for the how accuracy is the GPS? Uber, when you start your navigation, like when the driver start, so they will provide you, they are available, allow you to link with other navigation app. So maybe in the beginning, they maybe not say really accurate. So they allow you to using the Uber's their own map, or they allow you to switch to the Google map, okay, or other apps you can use. So here's like you need to provide other alternative. Maybe your location detection is not accurate, or like okay, maybe in Africa or like certain country, certain app is not working, or maybe if you want to okay, in China, China is not allowed using Google. So Google, you cannot access to the, because they are firewall, like they block all the access to the Google Map. Okay. Then you cannot use it. Then how can you, like, you need to think about this situation if you want to enter certain market. And then the continuously evaluate the development practice and stay the competitive and responsive. Okay, so right here, so we have 4 different type of methodology. So you need to choose like based on your business or like maybe when you in different phase, like in the beginning, then you need to choose the one is appropriate or suitable for your company. And you need to like put some like consideration why you will choose this one. And then you need to be like more flexible. So it's for the system development when we try to develop. So because the requirements needs new features, we're based on time change user feedback, we need to change. So right here, you see Uber can be where LG and DevOps will be the most common strategy nowadays they're applying. And because for the rest of the time, I before go I think we still have to work on the project, so I will see. So you can like form, it's the same. So try to form the group. Just reminding you need to form the group. I saw there's some groups over here, so it's the same. Maybe 3 to 5 because we only have 20 students. So after you form the group, we only have 4 groups or like 4 maybe to 6. Okay. And also I will put the same, so please let me know which type of for yours. I think I post the topic. Let me see if you're able to see. So please tell me the background, so at least a page, like around page. So the topic, like the business you want to choose, and then tell me the background. Okay, if I say because I'm using Uber, so I'm using Uber, so the Uber in this stage, so is the point the Ryan sharing the backgrounds. Yep.
What about the cafe business or something like this?
You can make things up or refer to the existing one. Because for extra, well, I will ask you, you need to provide some extra feature. So you can say, okay, you're allowed to like create anything, but of course you have some certain like in certain industry, right? So you can tell me, okay, we want to working on is a online store, like doing something is okay, or we want to implement a mobile app to have certain service, it's okay. But you can like in the background, so okay, we are mainly referring to or like pretty similar to certain service, okay, or certain existing company they are doing it this way, okay. And then we will have some special features, or like we are providing extra service. Okay, so this one you can discuss and talk with your group mate. Okay, then you can put it in your introduction. Okay, so it can help you create the scope, and then I will try to break down the project into different phases. So give it some time. In the beginning, you can prepare some requirements. Those requirements can help you to draw the user diagrams, ER diagrams, all these things. And when you design, okay. Because like for this one, we don't have a called a standardized solution of a fixed answer. So everything is based on the makes sense. Like it's like suitable and makes sense. It's okay. Yeah, and maybe also like close to the lecture, maybe what we cover about the right now we talk about the approach, different methodology. So for when you implement, are you only using one methodology, or would you planning in the first stage using certain approach, and then later we're going to transit if something gonna happen. Okay, but this one is extra about close to the knowledge in the lecture, but you need to design your UI. Okay, so you need to showing the flow, slightly more requirement for the app. Let's say I want to create the online store. So you may be using the Adobe InDesign, or if you want to draw it by yourself, it's okay. And then the one I mentioned about Figma you can use. So you can like those like you can drag the icon and then they create the linkage with different page. You are not really implement the program, but you are showing, okay, the interaction with the user, like all the buttons, the layouts, okay. So hopefully based on if you try to do all these things, you have a like better idea, like how to, what the life cycle, how to build the application.
And that's what's due on Thursday.
This one is like later, I will post it, I will try to break down into different phase for the coming one. The first, for the one is that just give me the one page, like submit as a group, just one representative, one member to tell me what's the topic you want to, and then tell me some background thing, some information. So what you want to do, or like, do you have any referral to certain existing company, or like the one you want to do similar, or like say, we want to base on Uber, then we just like leave or something else.
Just want to get a general idea.
General idea, yes, more like general idea, yeah. At least I can tell you have some certain progress, okay. Yeah. And you have sometimes to discuss and forming good because I saw, let me see.
So to be clear, we're not basing it off of a company, we're making our own.
You can. I'm not saying you can base on certain company or you can making your own. If you're like choose some existing, let's say I using Uber, but you can say, okay, let me get all the existing requirements, but I need to put some extra feature. So that's why then we can start our called the system design, right? I cannot answer this question because sorry for this one because I really not so sure, but I would say try to pick something. Build for the background is okay, but mainly I focus on the features. Okay, so maybe if let's say you can just make your own is okay, and you can refer to. I'm taking Uber as an example, and then I want to create a new feature, maybe called a ride sharing. Okay, so I can share, so I can determine when I get a request, and I will match the destination, and then there's an extra feature they are not providing right now. I guess actually I think they're going to have these features. Should so if you let the some rider they can share the ride, then how can you implement this one? So maybe you need to get the user requirement, and then how can you draw the user diagram? You need to the flow EL diagram. Then how will you design the database? And how will you design the UI and then UX? So all these things, okay. If you're really interested, I'm not so sure next semester are they like let me doing it, or there's another instructor, maybe they have different requirements. So at least like think about something you can possible to implement, okay, and you're interested. So you're okay to refer some existing surface, and then based on their what they have, and then you can create certain function, or you just make up an anything. Okay, most easy maybe I say, okay, I want to have a online store selling stuff. Okay, then you can design. Then you can working with your web program. I don't know, like with a blog, maybe a blog like this doing. Then you can design. Okay, you can use the part of like system design for design your web programming, and then you can for implementation. I don't. Okay. Yeah, but I don't know next semester. I'm sorry that I cannot tell you right now. So
Assuming that you will be our instructor next.
I don't know. I cannot tell. Yeah. So even right now, I don't know. Like I'm gonna tell, but I'm not even sure I can tell in this moment. But I think in the meeting we're still like talking some class, some courses are we like moving or like available. So I'm not so sure yet. Yeah. Okay, so it's end of it. So if no other question, just like reminding them, those students taking class online, attending online, So make sure you are attend a group and then select a representative and give me the topics. And then based on those topics, like give me some backgrounds, like some features you want to do. So it's not a really fixed, but once you submit, it's okay. You are flexible like to change it or like modify those contents. Okay, later. If you have no other question, then you feel free to leave. And we'll stop right here.